Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Talking Talent. I am your host, Tommy T, joined as always by Double K with Smokey Z behind the scenes. Tonight we bring you a review of VCW show from Suffolk, Virginia that was held at the Salvation Army Community Center. That was our first trip down there. We're about a week late reviewing this show, but myself and Double K have been tied up with other events as well as activities. He recently got married, so that tied up a little bit of his time. Great show.
A little more than a little bit, but...
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Great show from VCW as always. They always do a good job putting these shows together. This one actually had the WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons in attendance. And so that was a lot of fun. We got a chance to meet and talk with him and take a few pictures. So we're going to get right into the action for this show.
Let's get it.
And the first match of the night, we saw John Schuyler take on Brady Pierce. Now, this was my first time seeing either of these two performers. And, you know, it was a good first match of the evening. Both guys seemed to be well-rounded. There was a little bit of jawing back and forth to start it, so it took a couple minutes before the action got started. But I think the match went well. It had some great spots in it. They seemed to work well together in the ring. And did a good job of playing off the crowd as well, face versus heel, so we saw some of that. I just thought it was a really great way for VCW to kick the show off, as they usually do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we talk so much about how they open shows and their production value and things like that. You know, that was great as always, but from the get, when John Schuyler came out, he was working the crowd and priming the crowd from the second his first foot came out of the curtain.
Yeah.
Excuse me, came through the curtain.
Cheap pop. So, I mean, immediately
his heel status was established with
Absolutely.
all. And I'm pretty sure that the military veteran that was in the front row was ready to take him on right then and there. So I thought it was coming, you know.
And I think the guy could have taken him.
That's where my money was going.
Yeah, I think the guy
That's where my money was going. But, yeah, I mean, Brady Pierce, both these guys put on a great show. Brady Pierce looked the part. So John Schuyler looks the part. I mean, he was built like a wrecking ball.
Yes.
And that's not a knock. I mean, he's a shorter in stature.
He's a stout guy.
And just like I said, built like a wrecking ball. But, yeah, no, I thought it was a great match. I really didn't. You know, for me, it wasn't overly exciting, but it kind of, like I said, it got the crowd ready. It got everybody into the night and excited about what was coming. So they did their job as far as the opening match goes.
Yeah. For me, it was a 3-star match to kick off the night.
Yeah.
We don't always see great matches at every promotion that we go to, but VCW is one of those folks that I can say consistently delivers on their opening match, always setting the tone for the evening, as long as it's not the franchise Shane Douglas.
Well, yeah, I think Shane Douglas and his fanny pack or two set the example for what happens when you write some checks that your ass can't cash.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
You know,
Colby Corino proved that. Absolutely.
It's just not there for him anymore. It was a great promo, but we won't get back into that again.
Nope. Moving on. So you go ahead and take the lead on the next one.
It's our boy.
Don't call him that.
Well, I can't call him what I actually want to call him on here. So I'm going to go with our boy.
Okay.
Timmy Danger, the leader of the Sanctuary, versus Joe King. It was a little bit of a weird start. The Sanctuary's in the ring, running their mouths, doing their cult-like thing that they always do.
There was a lot of focus and a lot of talk from Timmy Danger about his desire to really set the picture for what the Liberty Lottery was going to look like in July for VCW, where Timmy Danger pretty much proclaimed that he himself, or a member of the Sanctuary, but he as the leader, would win the Liberty Lottery and then go on to challenge for a VCW title of their choosing.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the only part that I picked up out of that, because I typically tend to tune Timmy out as soon as I see the mouth open. You know, I start singing songs in my head or thinking about possibly anything other than what he's about to say. But the point that he did make is in the Liberty Lottery that's coming up, you know, there's going to be, 5, 6 members of the Sanctuary out there?
Yeah.
So the chances of someone from that cult winning the Liberty Lottery are exponentially higher. So maybe that's what Joe King had in mind when he came out, because it sure looked to me as if Joe King was trying to join the Sanctuary.
He came out with the wristband.
He came out with the literature, that little pamphlet, that little trifold thing they hand out, and it didn't go his way.
No, Timmy Danger did not reply in kind.
No, it resulted in a typical beatdown by all members of the Sanctuary, and then Timmy taking advantage of everybody else's work to get the victory.
Well, if you listen to Timmy's story about his wrestling career, that's the only reason he got where he is by taking advantage of others.
So I'm going to say this, and this is not a edge comparison by any stretch, but would we have to agree that Timmy Danger may be the ultimate opportunist?
Based off of what we've seen, the only thing that I would agree with you, the only thing that stands in Timmy Danger's way is an occasional guardrail.
To be referenced later, that might be his next contender.
Yes. So, but to continue on this particular match of Timmy Danger versus Joe King, there were a couple of spots in it that I don't think went 100% as smoothly as either competitor expected them to.
Right.
But this was a typical, really a squash match from Timmy Danger.
Yeah.
Kind of burying Joe King. And, a guy who was trying to join the Sanctuary. And then at the end of this match, Timmy Danger would go on to reference the WWE Hall of Famer that was, in the facility that night of Ron Simmons.
Hall of Famer and class act.
Yeah, and he went on to state that the Sanctuary was better than the Nation of Domination, that the Sanctuary was better than the APA. Amongst the other accolades that Ron Simmons has accomplished in his wrestling career. And you and I made the statement when we did our on-location episode that we weren't really sure if that was a tree that Timmy Danger wanted to bark up. But he did. And we'll reference this a little bit later as we talk about one of the other matches that we got to see the Sanctuary get involved in. But for Timmy Danger and Joe King, I only gave him 2 stars for this one.
Nope. So far, we're in agreement here.
Okay.
I've got that at 2 stars as well. It just lacked several things for me, and it has nothing to do with how I feel about the mouth of Timmy Danger. But I just felt like the match was extremely one-sided.
It was a squash match.
It was just extremely one-sided, and it was a little clunky in spots. So I gave it 2 too.
Okay. So moving on to our third match for VCW that night was Rock Richards versus Phil Brown, where Phil Brown was once again defending his Vanguard Championship Wrestling United States Liberty Championship.
Say that 5 times really fast. Go.
No. Have you met me? I can't say something 2 times fast, much less 5 times fast.
I was just trying to give our listeners and fans a treat.
No, that would probably end up with our show getting labeled explicit because I'm going to screw something up in that name.
Guaranteed.
So with Phil Brown, just a massive specimen, as we've talked about multiple times in the different matches that we've seen him in, including his match against Damian Wayne last month that we got to witness. This was another match. However, this was a match that turned out to be far more entertaining than I had anticipated. So to see
Absolutely.
Rock Richards, this was my first time seeing him, and this match went. I mean, it came off a little one-sided at first. There was some jarring back and forth between the competitors, and then some simultaneous blows. But then, as we got towards the latter parts of that match, you could definitely tell that Rock Richards was giving Phil Brown everything he could bargain for.
Absolutely. I think we several times on the show have spoken extremely highly of Phil Brown. I mean, hell, we've even talked about Phil Brown during other shows that we've done. I mean, that guy, he's the real deal. He's got that title for a reason. He's done this a long time, and he's in a category all his own.
Yeah.
But having had no idea who Rock Richards was before this match, for me, I'd never seen him. He is 100% a force to be reckoned with.
Sure.
There were a couple shots that we watched him take from Phil Brown that should have probably taken his head off his shoulders, but didn't. He stood in there and he took some, again, very stiff shots and just withstood it all and almost pulled out the victory in this thing.
Yeah, there were a couple of really close near falls that occurred between the two, with Rock Richards getting the advantage. And that was a really close opportunity that we almost saw Phil Brown lose that VCW United States Championship.
I before the match started, if you'd asked me who was going to win that match, I would have said Phil Brown, hands down.
Without any question.
Zero hesitation, without question, right. If you would have asked me 3/4 of the way through that match who was going to win that match, I would have told you I have no flipping idea who's going to win this thing.
You and I actually talked about that, was that towards the end of that match, in the on-location episode, we had no idea which one of those two guys was going to walk away with that victory.
And, this was one of the first matches in a while, and, hats off to both Rock Richards and Phil Brown for this, that really almost pulled us out of our seats a couple times toward the end.
Yeah.
We were
several
on
near falls.
Several near falls. We were on the edge of our seat, and we were sucked in as fans to this match, just like everybody else. So, to me, this was a 4-star match.
Yeah, I'm with you. 4 stars.
Are you looking at my paper?
No, I'm not looking at your paper.
Do I need to cover this up?
No, I don't think you need to cover it up. But I do have 4 stars written for the match. I just think that, you and I have talked about that 5-star match is we kind of reserve for that illustrious, perfect, flawless spectacle.
Yes.
And these guys were right on the cusp of that, of the buy-in. And one of the things that I think we've lost in the wrestling business, at least as from the fans' perspective, is being able to tell a story in the ring. And, these guys were able to do that, and kudos to both of them for being able to build that throughout the context of the match. But they were able to tell the story of that both of these guys were big guys, and neither one of them was going to lay down and take a beating from either.
So you know what that means, though. You know what this match was.
I do. Can we get it?
It was Smash Mouth.
There we go. Our first Smash Mouth comment of the evening. But indeed it was. It was a great match. So 4 stars to those guys.
Well, and real quick, hats off to VCW for making this match.
Oh, sure.
Like this, to me, that was a perfect matchup right there.
Yeah, I mean it was 2 great opponents that they were able to put in the ring with each other that produced a great match. It was just a good showing.
Absolutely.
So you want to go ahead and talk about our next one? With this one, I would say has our boys in it.
Yeah, this one definitely has our boys in Simply Safish. This was our tag team matchup of the night, the lone tag team match on the card. Simply Safish versus the Hellcats.
Yep.
We got out of this what we always see from both teams, which was, it was a solid performance. This was one of my more favorite performances from the Hellcats. I finally got to see a little bit more from them as far as what I've been wanting to see. I want to see them perform. I don't want to see too much gimmick. I don't want to see disqualifications all the time.
Yeah.
Like, let's wrestle a long match. Let's get into it from time to time. I mean, obviously I understand gimmick matches and I understand DQs. It's all part of it, but not every single time. To this point, we really hadn't gotten to see a whole lot. So, and from Wes and Livid T Clown, for those of you that don't know, the T stands for the. As Livid, he straightened me out. The
Livid the Clown.
Right, he straightened me out on that. I wasn't sure. It could have been Theodore. It could have been Thaddeus. He's a clown. It could have been anything. It could have.
Okay.
It could have. What? I'm
okay.
I have to defend myself a little bit. But nonetheless, it's much shorter. It stands for the.
I'd rather you defend yourself than go full frog. So, when it came to this match, I'm with you 100% that we hadn't had a great chance to see the Hellcats perform in length. We've seen them in a couple of matches, but it wasn't anything in length that we could really get a good grasp of who they were as a tag team. And this match gave us that. Now, granted, it still ended in a disqualification.
It did.
Simply Safish once again not getting an opportunity to fully take advantage of a championship match. Milkshake still not found for Livid T-Clown. And Wes Rogers, we even got to see Wes Rogers take a modified suicide dive to the outside of the ring. But, in fact, I think you gave it a different name during the On Location episode that you said it wasn't actually a suicide dive. It was a safe-ish dive.
Well, I mean, it was. I mean, he went into the initial stages of the dive.
Yeah.
Full speed.
Spring off the rope.
Full spring off the rope. And skirt.
Yep.
Came to a stop. Kind of leans over. Kind of dumps himself.
Yes.
Over.
Yes.
Would be the better way to do it. I mean, it was far from going full frog.
Agreed.
There was no extension or, any of that.
No.
But it was a safe-ish dive, as we should expect from Wes Rogers.
Yeah, and it was one of those what a dive moments. So, for me, that was a three... For me, that was a 3-star match. We always get a great response out of Wes Rogers and Livid the Clown. We're going to try to work on getting. We got an interview with Livid the Clown.
I think what we're trying to say here is, Wes, we owe you an interview.
We do,
and we do apologize for the technical difficulties that we were having before this show. But Wes, we owe you an interview.
Yes.
Hopefully, you will still help us out there and appear
and the plan
on the
is
show.
We're going to try to get him in before the start of the next VCW show.
Yeah.
Which is going to be back at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk. So that, folks, it will be our next broadcast from them. Now, back to the match itself. We talked about the match ending in disqualification. And we also referenced this a few minutes ago when we talked about the Sanctuary, sorry.
I kind of like that first one.
So,
it's a good name for a cult.
Yeah. So as this match was concluding, Timmy Danger and the Sanctuary came out to the ring and just completely blindsided the tag team of Simply Safish.
Absolutely. Cowardly attack, I think, is what we said.
Yeah.
That night on air, and if we didn't say it, we should have.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering he wanted to come over and run his mouth. After that happened, he actually took your headset.
Well, if you really notice, the only thing he ever does when he's on his own is run his mouth.
Okay, well, that's true.
If you notice,
I don't know that I've ever seen him do anything else on his own.
If you notice, when he
Except for
approached us on his own, he took the headset. There was no physicality whatsoever.
No.
So, I'm pretty sure without the Sanctuary that, Timmy Danger's just another guy with a really bad haircut and a jacked up beard.
It's the yellow peacock of professional wrestling. And
it was more orange that night. He got a little carried away with spray tan, I think.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Hats off to Timmy Danger for he clearly orchestrates his group in a manner that allows them to be effective.
I will say one positive thing about Timmy Danger right now, since we're on. He is one of the better personalities that you're going to see at any of these events.
Oh, sure.
He owns that. He is that, and he does that very well. He does that gimmick extremely well.
Yeah, and to his point of when he was on our show, he talked about branding and he talked about building his character and all of this in good faith with Timmy, but the actions that night we've started to see this now more frequently from Timmy, where it looks like that the only thing that he might be able to do successfully in life is be a manager. So,
Yeah.
Because what do managers do? They talk.
They do talk. And occasionally, when they do get involved, it's an attack from behind.
Yeah.
I think right now we should start a hashtag movement. Hashtag silence Timmy.
Well, yeah, I'm with it. We talked about in our live broadcast from the CPW show where we also got to see Timmy Danger.
Again, what did he do, though?
That the only thing that should be silenced is Timmy Danger's wrestling career. So, that was it for the end of that match. However, because of Timmy running his mouth earlier about the WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons, who did we get to see that sent Timmy Danger frantically running to the back?
Let me see. Was it... I'm going to go with Ron Simmons.
It was Ron Simmons.
Sweet.
And so when we saw that, we saw Timmy in his true colors of the yellow which brands him, that allows him to be who he is. Yeah. And he took his yellow tail, tucked it between his legs with his peacock haircut, and went straight to the back because he wanted no part of the WWE Hall of Famer.
That honestly may have been one of the smarter moves that Timmy Danger has ever made in his wrestling career. Why in the world? I don't care in what stage of his career Ron Simmons is in. He is 10 times the man that Timmy Danger is. So why in the world would he want to stick around and tangle with Ron Simmons? I mean, if anybody can give me a good reason why he should have stayed, fine. Let's hear it.
Well, I think there's only one word that we can use to describe this.
I'm trying to pull it. Damn!
So that's really the only word that we can use to describe that. Then Ron Simmons took a few moments on the microphone, and I do want to talk about this, though, because what he said, it was powerful. And he talked about how Virginia was always a state that was good to him when he was in the wrestling business as a full-timer. He also talked about the fortunate achievements that he had throughout his wrestling career that allowed him to achieve that Hall of Fame status. And it's always nice to hear these guys talk about how they want to give back and they want to come back out and be able to do something for the guys like Timmy Danger. Everybody else that's on the card. They want to be able to give back. And that's not saying that all of them wouldn't do it, but there's a lot of them out there that have never made the effort to.
Well, it's for him, it was about paying it forward. Yeah. I mean,
he mentioned that.
He did. He talked about being able to come back to these events. I guess let's call it what it is, on the tail end of his career, on the way out, the twilight, however you want to say it, and give back to the younger guys who are coming up and doing it now, just as it was done for him when he was the up-and-comer.
Yeah.
It was just, this probably was my favorite part of the night, honestly, was what he came out to say. The crowd just, it was as if Ron was out there performing again.
Yeah.
The crowd was into hanging on every word he was saying, and it ended in a standing ovation.
Yeah. As well it should have.
Absolutely.
You mentioned him being a class act. He absolutely was. And it was great to have the chance to...
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
But not just a class act for what he said in the ring. We had the opportunity to watch him interact with the fans. He's at the point in his career where if he really didn't want to talk to you and he just wanted to come there and take a picture,
he didn't have to,
and collect a couple bucks and leave, he could have. He made sure that every single person, even though it was for maybe a minute at a time, you maybe had a minute with Ron Simmons, he made sure that you were the focal point. I watched him with fans, I watched him with kids, I watched him with grown men, grown women. Like, he was truly there for them.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that left a great impression on everybody who had a chance to interact with him.
Yeah, and it truly it set the tone for the night the way he started it with interacting with the fans prior to the show ever starting. So, for me, I'm going to give the Hellcats and Simply Sailfish 3 stars for their performance. I thank them for allowing the Hellcats to actually put on a show.
Yes.
And, them paired with Simply Sailfish, those two teams clearly have a chemistry to work together. And so I thank VCW for giving us another chance to see that. It's a shame that the Suctuary had to come in and ruin it at the end.
Yeah, I guess when nobody wants to see you that often, you kind of have to barge in unannounced. But, it is what it is. I gave the match 3 stars as well.
Okay.
I really was enjoying myself until the bad guys got there.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's how it happens sometimes.
That is how it goes.
So, moving on to the next match, Irvin Legend versus Jake Hollister, one of these guys we've seen perform before in Irvin Legend. And then Jake Hollister, returning from an elbow injury, has been out for a little bit of time. And so we actually got to see the focus on that elbow a little bit during the match with Irvin Legend. So, it was... Jake Hollister, for me, is the Shawn Michaels of VCW in the sense of his persona and his pretty boy mantra. Probably more of a mixture of Tyler Breeze, NXT Tyler Breeze, and Shawn Michaels, not necessarily in caliber of performance, but because we haven't had a chance to really see him yet. I'm not downing him as a performer because we didn't really get to see his full ability.
Right.
Especially coming fresh off of an elbow surgery. In fact, the scar was still red from how recently the surgery was. Sure. But he definitely he came out with holding the rose in his teeth. And even in the pictures he was taking with fans before the night started, he definitely has that pretty boy mantra that is, almost a princess pretty kind of stigma.
Oh, yeah.
Him.
No, I definitely can get on board with the Tyler Breeze comparison.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm there on the other.
Okay.
On the Heartbreak Kid part, but
okay.
Definitely I could see the Tyler Breeze. The entrance, he owned the crowd when he came in.
Yep.
That was, he did that really well. Like I said, he owns that character. He owns that gimmick really well. As far as the in-ring stuff goes with he and Irvin Legend, there were just a few spots in there that just looked as if there was some one or the other got lost in translation. And I feel like there were a couple spots in there where there was confusion on what to do next. Now, on whose part that is, I have no idea.
Right.
I'm not in there. I'm not sure who got confused on what.
Right.
But there were a couple...
Just an observation.
It was just an observation. That it just looked like there was definitely some breakdown areas throughout the match that had those not been there or those get cleaned up, the match could have been a really good match. For me, this was not my favorite match I've seen at VCW for sure.
Right.
And again, not trying to tear down either one because those guys got in there and they gave it everything that they had.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely appreciated. It's much appreciated. But as far as the match itself goes, it definitely could have been better. For me, this match was a 1.5 star match.
Okay. So I went a little bit further than you. I went 2 stars because I'm going to give him some leniency given the fact that he just came off the elbow surgery. But I can respect your 1.5.
Thank you.
Like you said, not my favorite VCW match of all time, but it was certainly still it was still entertaining to watch. Even though there was some looked like miscommunication. Mm-hmm. As to your point of who knows for what reason, who, what, why, when, or where.
Right, we don't know. We don't know that.
It just the way it appeared from the fans' perspective, and from our perspective as fans, because we've talked about before that's really how we look at this. It's from a fan's perspective. When we're watching these shows, we're watching them as a fan, sitting next to fans, observing what we're seeing in the ring.
That's right. That's right.
And so we've even tried to partner with the promotions, telling them the same thing, that we broadcast these as a fan. We just like to try to give folks a platform to be heard and then spread the product as best we can. So moving on to our final match of the evening, I'm going to go ahead and let you take the lead on this.
This is where my inner heel comes out.
Yeah, we noticed.
We have the unpredictable one, the Mid-Atlantic badass, Damian Wayne, taking on the Pope, Elijah Burke. Obviously, for me, I went into this night excited for this match right here. I couldn't...
Well, I think anybody that's a wrestling fan that appreciates indie wrestling in Virginia, how do you not go into this night excited about this match?
There's no way to answer that with anything that would make sense.
I agree. Regardless of how you feel about either competitor.
Sure. No, I mean, you know what? Damian Wayne came out true to form. He walked through that curtain ready to whip Elijah Burke's ass.
Yeah.
And from what I saw, anybody else who decided to step up and, say anything or challenge him.
Yeah.
And, Elijah Burke, music hits, no Elijah Burke.
Yeah, we did wait.
I wasn't really sure what was going on, but then, he appears and he's ready to go. He looked great.
Yeah.
It had been a while since I had seen him.
Yeah. But he still looked 100%. In fact, probably looks a little better now than he did the last time I saw him.
Yeah. And both guys got in and they put on, a hell of a match. Damian Wayne, was smart. He was smart. Elijah Burke may have been a little bit quicker. So he kept taking some breaks in and out of the ring there, playing a little cat and mouse, and it paid off. We know how this ended.
Yeah, by Damian Wayne cheating to win. But
prove it. Whose hand went up?
We've had this discussion, and
right?
I'm not going to banter with you
each time that we've had this discussion, what's the answer when I say whose hand went up?
Well, Damian Wayne's hand went up, but so did Shawn Michaels' hand at the end of the Montreal Screwjob.
So what does that mean, though? If your hand gets raised and somebody, declares you
but that
the
doesn't
victor,
mean he didn't cheat to win. That my point is not who won.
Well, I mean, this is just like you got confused on what he was saying to the gentleman sitting ringside who clearly was having trouble seeing, and he was fearing that this gentleman would hurt himself, and he politely asked him to just please take his seat and be careful.
I don't know what you were listening to or watching when Damian Wayne consistently harassed the veteran in the front row at VCW show, but you can believe whatever you want to believe. And I'm going to talk about what I saw and what I witnessed.
Harassment's such a strong word.
It is a strong word, but
why can't you give the unpredictable Damian Wayne credit for winning this match? Because at the end of this match, this is what we all heard as his hand got raised in victory, and the gentleman sitting ringside that he was trying to help didn't fall down and hurt himself because he was so nice.
Well, that's not what that conversation was about. And as much as Damian Wayne may have won that match, it does not change the fact that he cheated to win.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The Mid-Atlantic Badass's music is playing.
I will give him credit that he won the match. Cheating or not, he won the match. However, Damian Wayne should be ashamed of himself for how he acted towards not only a veteran, but his contempt for disrespect for the fans. So, this is not a contest of winning versus losing, because he did win. But what it is a discussion of is how he went about doing it. So, I'll give you the credit. He won.
He did.
He won. Mm-hmm. Ref raised his hands. The bell rang, the match started.
Right.
The bell rang, the match finished.
Right.
You made several accusations about Elijah Burke using foreign objects.
Well, he did. He did. I mean,
Since when was a guardrail a foreign object?
Since when? I mean, that's what it is. If you use it to hurt someone, that is using a foreign object.
Well, if that's the case, then there are some folks that their simple face showing up is painful and could be considered a foreign object.
Timmy Danger.
So, or haircuts, for that matter.
That's rough.
So,
that's rough.
If that's the caliber in which you're comparing it, then yes, the guardrail was a foreign object.
That's all I needed to hear you say.
But let's not take anything away from the fact that Damian Wayne, the Mid-Atlantic badass, hid behind a water bottle when he chucked it at the ring announcer.
Well, I don't think he hid behind it. I mean, if the ring announcer would get things right, Damian Wayne would not need to throw things at him. I mean, come on, man.
So, there's clearly not going to be an agreement between you and I on Damian
Absolutely
Wayne,
not.
And
I'm on the winning side. You're on the losing side. That's fair.
You're entitled to your opinions.
It's evidence. Look at the record books. It goes in the W column, not in Timmy Danger's loser column.
Well, I'm not sure anybody wants to be in a column with Timmy Danger.
Again, because it starts with an L. Damian Wayne's starts with a W.
Fair. We'll see how much Damian Wayne still has to prove as he continues to poke and press for an actual match with Gino.
I don't think they're going to want him to poke and press much more. Some people are going to start getting hurt along the way until he gets to that match.
Well, that might be true. But one of the things that Damian Wayne is going to have to reconcile with is whether or not VCW waits for him to get any further into his geriatrics in order to give him a title shot.
Look, the only thing, if it gets that far, that is going to be said is that whoever's holding that title at that point when he gets it got their ass whipped by an old man.
And I would agree.
An extremely capable old man.
Who still looks great and can still go without question.
Right. So the next time we're at one of these shows, I'm going to point you out.
That's fine. And
I want you to say this to him. Okay. And let's see if he chucks a water bottle at you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably. But, that will remain to be seen. However, I am going to go ahead and rate this match. With Damian Wayne and talking about the action itself, there was, again, VCW gave these guys a chance to tell a story. Mm-hmm. And they did. Both characters, true to their nature, face versus heel, gave a clear storytelling experience from the time the bell rang till the time the bell tolled for the end of the match. Mm-hmm. Regardless, with all the other banter, again, two guys having an opportunity to tell a story. They did it. They did it well.
Absolutely.
Both true to their characters and their roles in this specific match. This was a 4-star match for me as well, with Damian Wayne and Elijah Burke.
Oh, 100%. I've got it 4 stars. And again, I think you cheated off my paper this entire show. But no, I mean, it was everything that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Elijah Burke got in there, and true to form, was one of the most, if not the most athletic guy in the house.
All over the place.
All over the place. The entire night, he was the most athletic guy in the house.
Yeah.
He put on a great show. Again, everything I expected out of him. Got everything we expected out of Damian Wayne.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never seen that guy give less than 115%.
No, and even when we had the chance to talk to him, he talked about how he does this for the love of the fans, his love of the business, and you can still see that. It's very evident in his in-ring work.
No, I mean, we've been watching wrestling since we were little kids.
Yeah.
Now we're getting the opportunity to be face to face with a lot of these people. And I don't think that we've come across anyone yet. And I can't remember anybody that I've seen in all my time that genuinely eats, sleeps, and breathes this business the way he does.
No, and again, that was evident in our episode that we taped the interview with him.
Yeah.
We are going to be taping a Damian Wayne Part 2 interview that we're actually going to tape down in Norfolk. We've reached out to him. He's agreed to do that, so we just have to set up a time to do it. And I'm thinking next time we're going to try to aim for something that's a little bit of a different venue, and get a different feel for who he is as a person.
Yeah.
And dig a little bit deeper into the backstory behind the Mid-Atlantic Badass. I'd really be interested to hear a little bit more about the road stories and his development, since he did start so late. But
Well, absolutely, because, we only had 45 minutes with him the first time.
Yeah.
30, 45 minutes, and you could see and you could feel and you could just hear it in Damien's voice that there was so much more to tell.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much more.
And so I'm thrilled that we're going to try to work on getting. We've taken a break from doing some of our interviews recently, and that's partially because we just got a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
This certainly has developed much faster than I think any member of this team who is part of it. Myself, Double K, Smokey Z. It's just taken off a lot faster than we had anticipated it.
Without question.
Now with receiving some requests from other wrestling groups to come out and cover some of their shows, which we're going to be doing. But also that means that we kind of have to start setting up our booking of where we're going to go, because we can only be in one place at a time. So, going back to the VCW show, another great show from VCW. As always, they put together a good program. I thought it went well. It is, without a doubt, a different feel for every venue that they go to. It feels and looks a little different, but they always do a good job of how they produce their shows. And this probably wasn't my favorite VCW show so far, but I'm excited to go back to the Masonic Temple.
Absolutely,
that's just a great venue from them. It's got a great feel to it. It's the way it looks gives it a true indie wrestling look, feel, and experience. And so I'm actually looking forward to there, because we'll be taping another on-location episode, which we didn't get to do the last time they were there, but we're going to be doing it this time. So that should be different for us. But I think it's going to be exciting, and it's going to give us another opportunity to continue to experience the VCW environment.
Yeah, I'm with you on this not being my overall favorite show that they did.
Not a bad show in any way, shape, or form.
Well, no, and that's what I was going to say. The show was still great. So what this shows me is just how high VCW actually sets the bar with their shows. Each and every time we've been, there's been at least a match, 2, maybe even 3, that get us on the edge of our seats, that have us just talking to each other the entire time about what's going on. You never see fans leaving disappointed, ever.
You get your money's worth, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so, that being said, wherever VCW is, if you're listening to this show, you haven't been to a VCW event, if one's close or within reason, go. Yeah. You owe it to yourself as a wrestling fan to go see a VCW show.
Yeah, they put effort, clearly. They've got their shows planned out as far as September. We know that at the June show, we're going to be able to see the original bad guy, Scott Hall, one half of the Outsiders. So, that in itself, they also announced that we were going to see in September, when they return to the Salvation Army Community Center, that we're going to see another WWE Hall of Famer of Jerry the King Lawler. So, that in itself being another. They bring the talent in.
Well, they do, and that. I think we said this not long ago. I can't remember if we said this on the show, but we definitely said this in one of our personal conversations, is that the names that they're bringing in are not going to come into this show and put their names that they've worked 20, 30, 40 years to build their legacies, their Hall of Fame careers. They're not going to come into just any show and put their name on a poster.
No.
Just for, giggles.
Yep.
Right? They're going to come in, they're going to put their names, they're going to lend their names to the posters and to the events of a quality program, of a quality show. And that's exactly what VCW is.
Yeah. And they've proven it time and time again.
They have.
And so that show, folks, at the Norfolk Masonic Temple is VCW featuring a special guest Scott Hall, will be June 15th at the Norfolk Masonic Temple, again, being their next show. And again, their special guest, the original bad guy, Scott Hall, one half of the Outsiders, and also known as Reza Ramon. So it'll be yet another great show from VCW, I have no doubt. We're also expecting to see Phil Brown there, as well as Colby Carino and Gino. So, with this being the wrap-up of our yet another show for VCW, I just want to take a moment and thank the guys from Vanguard Championship Wrestling for allowing us to be part of their atmosphere as we tape these shows. And folks, this is only getting better for us as we are continuing to invest in our product and provide you guys with better coverage. Now having the full capabilities of broadcasting live from the venues, which we will only do in cooperation with the promotions that we're working with, because our goal, again, is to get their name out and increase the attention on their brand. And so we only do what they would like for us to do with regards to our broadcasting of their events, and really just trying to make sure that we deliver on our mission of getting more eyes on the product and giving their stars a chance to speak to the fans. So, folks, that's going to wrap up our review here. This episode of Through the Curtains Talking Talent. And it has been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. As usual, I'm Tommy T.
Double K.
And behind the scenes is Smokey Z. Folks, we are just a couple episodes away from Smokey Z actually having his own microphone and being able to talk to us between vape sessions. So that will be a new treat for us. But we look forward to hearing him mumble through the fog coming out of his mouth.
And will certainly be a treat for everyone else.
Yes. It's if you've ever heard Boomhauer from King of the Hill, you're in good shape. So, folks, it's been another pleasure. This is your cast here at Through the Curtains Talking Talent, and we will come to you the next time with a review from CPW's High Times, and we'll review that show and give our thoughts on that within the coming days. As for tonight, we will see you the next time the bell tolls.